coming back again, Veronica, for this second episode, I guess, of our interview here. Like I said, this is going to be posted on Saturday. I'm going to post the first part up today and then do this one on Saturday. So, we left off where we were talking about how you had been diagnosed with pancreatitis in the hospital, got out of the hospital, went back for your follow up, and then proceeded to drink in your car. So what happened after that? What did you continue to drink for a while?
Yeah, it was for years after that because the stent made it possible, honestly, because it just relieved pain and it relieved pain for a long time. And so yeah, I started, drinking real heavily even after that. I don't really know what to say. I just what I was doing,
Gotcha.
even outside of the doctor's orders, because when you drink, you drink. You don't think about things like that.
Would you, when you went to the doctor after all this has happened, would you lie to your doctor and tell him that you had stopped drinking?
Oh, all the time, of course. Yeah, unfortunately.
Could they tell?
Oh, absolutely, because they pull the blood. You do the blood sample and things like that. They can pull and see what you've been doing. So, but they never made me feel embarrassed. This is back in the day. I'm not talking about now.
Okay.
Now it's just it's a as you were just speaking about, it just they make you feel like it's you could have done differently in your life. And we already know that.
Yeah.
But back then he pulled it and it was just like, all right, just stop drinking and stop smoking, which I don't smoke cigarettes or anything like that, but that's what the plan was. But then I went out to my car and started drinking again.
When they would pull your blood and they would see that you hadn't been drinking, they wouldn't give you too much of a hard time. They would just kind of reiterate the fact that you needed to stop drinking.
Yeah, even to this day, they still do that.
Okay.
Even though I'm not drinking, they still, they ask the question. What do they ask? When's the last time you had a alcohol? When's the last time you drank?
Yeah.
And it's just like, because they just look, in my opinion, they look down on us.
Uh-oh.
So I don't look down on anybody, but it's very difficult when it comes to medicals and doctors and nurses and things like that.
Yeah. I know for a fact that after I had got pancreatitis and was diagnosed for the first time, I went to my first GI doctor appointment, which was about a month after I'd been in the hospital. And when I first went in there and to meet with him, he pulled my chart with my blood work and everything in it and started to accuse me of drinking immediately. And I hadn't had anything to drink in a month. And he is like, I thought I told you not to drink, and you told me you weren't going to drink. And I said, I'm not drinking. I don't know what you're talking about. But he kept accusing me of doing so because he was looking at my blood work, which I don't know where he got that information from. I don't know if he was looking at my liver numbers were elevated or what. He never really went into much detail about it. But I left that doctor's appointment, and never went back to that doctor ever again after that because uh, I really wasn't drinking at the time, and I wasn't going to be accused of something that I was so proud of that I'd actually gotten away from. And then to be told that I was drinking and all this kind of stuff, I was like, I'm not returning to this doctor's office. But since I've gotten a new GI doctor, it's totally different, and he's a super nice guy. I'm so happy that I've met him. And he's helped me a
Good.
lot. Do you feel like you're
No, I was thinking about you, and when it comes to, I think you and I have spoken about Emory, which you did not go to Emory at
no?
all.
Mm.
Okay, yeah.
Have you been there?
No, but I graduated from a school that was close to Emory, and so I
Okay.
know people that went there, and it's a great college.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't know anything.
So when you so after that, you got diagnosed pancreatitis. You did your follow up. You got your stent. You said you went on drinking for a few more years after that. How bad did your drinking get after that period of time?
It got so bad that, like I said, I was stealing wine. I would drink from the moment I woke up until the moment that I went to sleep. Of course, wine will block you out. You know, you black out and then get up and still keep drinking, and it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Um,
Do you have any
I
idea how much you were drinking, or
Not really, because when you drink, you did. That's the other thing that the doctors like. How many glasses? Like I have no idea until I
yeah,
black out about that. So
yeah,
I have no idea.
yeah, I completely
Um,
understand.
yeah. So I ended up after the pancreatitis situation, I ended up going back to my house and continuing to drink, and that's when everything just went chaos. It just went insane. And so it allowed me to continue to drink and do whatever else to numb myself from the situation.
Yeah. So how many years did you drink after that?
Gosh, for I literally just stopped.
Okay, so
So yeah, I
about
was
six
drinking for a
years.
minute. Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
was drinking for a minute. Um, yeah.
So what happened this last go round? Because I know that you ended up getting sick. You know, here not too long ago. Can you talk about what happened? What led up to you getting sick? What you noticed this last time, and just kind of tell the story about what happened this past go round that you ended up in the hospital and what they told you, and but kind of just lead
Yeah.
up into it, like what led you into going to the hospital. What did you start noticing, and then just kind of lead into that story if you don't mind.
No, no problem. So what led me there is I was bleeding a lot, and as a woman, so your wife would know. I was just
Yeah.
bleeding so much, and I was like, I need to go to the hospital because I didn't realize that my blood was not clotting, right? And so I was just bleeding for a long time. So I went in, and I was admitted, which I'm used to being admitted, but she's the doctor came to me on my bedside and was like, "You're dying." And I didn't understand what she was even speaking about. Because, I've been through it, heck and back, hell and back. So I'm like, what do you mean? I don't see it. And then I realized that the jaundice had hit. Um, the liver disease just came on just out of nowhere. It was very difficult to process and how quickly it can take your life.
Yeah.
And so what made me I wouldn't say upset, but I just wish that they would do it differently is letting people know instead of them saying, "Oh, it's just elevated liver, your enzymes are elevated." Let them know how deep it can get. So I was laying in the hospital. The doctor told me I could die. I'm dying. That's what you said. And so that's when things got serious for me. I couldn't even move at that point. Like had to move back with my parents. Like it was just, yeah.
What
But
what led up to you
pancreatitis
get?
leads to liver problems.
Yeah, it does. What led up to you going to the hospital? Other than, did you notice anything else other than the fact that you were bleeding?
No,
Or
no, I didn't feel any pain in my pancreas, which you would think this all the time, but no, it was just like I'm like I can't stop bleeding because at the end of the day, your my blood was not clotting. and that's the reason why. And so again, they admitted me, and the doctor's like, "You're gonna die."
What was it because of your liver that your blood wasn't clotting properly?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And did you have jaundice before you ended up in the hospital and you just didn't notice it?
No,
Oh, okay.
I remember I took a ride on the ambulance, and they were like, "Is that why your eyes are looking like that?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I guess." Because normally I'll have some, when you're an alcoholic, you may have some redness or whatever in your
Yeah.
eyes, and it'll clear up.
Yep.
But this time it didn't do it. And I was just like, oh my goodness. Like I literally looked like the Grinch that stole Christmas. Like that's how bad it was, green and yellow. And I didn't even want people to see me, so I even stopped going to church because I was just like, I didn't want people to see my eyes.
Yeah.
But it just happened like all of a sudden, because again, when you have pancreatitis, they'll just tell you that your liver is your enzyme, but they don't tell you how deep it is.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had to reach out to you and other people that's had the situation. The doctors wouldn't tell you that. They just
Yeah.
don't.
Do you have portal hypertension?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's it's
Probably
it's
not.
it's the elevated blood pressure in your organs,
No, no.
especially in your portal vein going to your liver, well, or whatever. It's just the blood can't pass through the liver fast enough because of all the scar tissue, so it creates back pressure on all the blood that's trying to get through to the liver. Uh, Basically, it's like your liver, a normal liver would be like a wet sponge, and the blood can constantly just flow through it. But when you end up with cirrhosis, your liver kind of turns in. You know, when you have like a really dry sponge just sitting on the back of the sink, you put it underneath the
Mm-hmm.
sink and the water just doesn't want to absorb into it right away. It's pretty much what
Mm-hmm.
your liver is doing. That blood just can't flow through there properly, so it starts creating back pressure, which leads to the varices that start to grow all over you, especially in your esophagus, which can lead to the varices bursting and you throwing up blood, which is a pretty big telltale sign that you have cirrhosis. Because I had
Yeah,
gone,
I never had that. I never threw up blood. It was just, I don't know. I was just literally in the hospital for, I thought, pancreatitis. I never had that issue when it comes to, I mean, you were obviously deeper into it than me. I never had that. It
they,
was just like a shock in the world. Like, huh, here you go.
yeah, I was told the same way. Had no idea. I'd had pancreatitis back in May. Went 4 months no drinking. Ended up back in the hospital again at the end of September. Then I got transferred to another hospital because I was throwing up blood. I had a bunch of stuff going on. They sent me up to Columbia. I went to that hospital in Columbia right outside of Fort Jackson. And when I went there, they started doing some more stuff, some more testing. And that's when just one day I had refused to take the Dilaudid that night because I was starting to hallucinate off of it. And
Mm.
the hospitalist walked in that morning and said, "I see you refused the Dilaudid." And I said, "Yeah, I don't want any more of that stuff." She goes, "Well, that's good because we're gonna go and let you go home today." And I was
Yep,
like, "Oh
that's
wow!"
what happens.
I was like,
Yep.
"Great, I get to
I
go home."
refused Dilaudid because they kept giving it to me like every 2 hours, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh my goodness, it's too much. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Dilaudid is different from morphine. Like, Dilaudid will make you just be really. So I was like, no, I'm good. And it's like, you don't want it? I said, no, every 2 hours. And so I ended up getting discharged. Same thing.
Well, they came in that morning after I'd refused it, and that's when the hospitalist walked in, and my wife was sitting right beside me. It was like 11 o'clock in the morning. She just walks in. She goes, "Just wanted to let you know you need to go home." And I was like, "Okay." She goes, "You might have a year left to live." And it was like out of nowhere, they just said, "You have cirrhosis." No one had ever talked to me about any of that while I was in the hospital until the last day I was there, and they just sent me home. And I was left with that until I went and saw the GI, a couple weeks later, and then had a conversation with him. But I had no idea what was happening. It sounds like basically the same thing happened with you.
Man, no, that absolutely that is awful that they did that. That is awful. But for me, I was just laying in the bed and they told me. Um, I didn't know at the time, but I was still able to stay there. Like they would never on the way out. Oh, you got cirrhosis. You got a year to live. That's awful.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's not good. But I did have my endoscopy. I think I'm saying that right. And my doctor came in after, it's like, it's serious that you. He said something about me. It's serious that I have to um get on the liver transplant list, and so I was scared. He's like 3 months, and I said, "Oh my goodness, I thought I was dying. Like I couldn't move. I was just, it was bad."
So that was in the
And
hospital that that they were doing that.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm guessing that since you've been out of the hospital now, you've gone and seen a GI doctor at this point, right?
Oh man, so many. I have 4 doctors at this point.
Okay. What are they telling you
Yeah.
now?
To be honest, the liver is not even an issue. They just think about my pancreas, but the liver is fine, according to them. Like I said, I got a doctor down at the VCU, which is a college here in Virginia, and then I have Inova, which is a big hospital here in Virginia. Um, I got my own doctors, and so they are more. They want to know more about the uh not the liver,
About the
but the
pancreas?
pancreatitis. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm guessing you've been diagnosed with chronic pancreatitis at this point.
Oh yeah, I'm chronic.
Okay. Are you still in a state of pancreatitis now?
Say it one more time.
Are you still in a state of pancreatitis right now?
Well, yeah, no, no, I feel nothing. I feel no pain or anything like that. But it could just happen at a moment in time.
Yeah.
But I just praise God, even for this interview, just to let people know, man, it's not fun.
No, it's not.
It's my thing is just not drink. I mean, if you do, don't do it excessively
Yeah.
because you'll end up here
Yeah.
or in the grave somewhere. And you and I are vessels to talk about it because we're still alive.
Yeah.
But the doctors don't let you know that stuff. They
No.
don't. It takes people like you, me, and other people that I know just to encourage or inform the people how it is.
Yeah. Um with your diagnosis and everything, now that you have chronic pancreatitis, I'm sure your doctors probably told you this. They told me the same exact thing, is that you kind of just mentioned it, but that it's not a matter of if you're going to get pancreatitis again, it's a matter of when. And it's
Right.
going to happen again, which is really unfortunate. And my wife and I pretty much have come to the conclusion that I'm probably going to end up getting pancreatitis about once a year. Um, which, it doesn't matter if you have health insurance or what. You end up in the hospital, you're going to owe a few $1,000s at the end of the day. And if every
Right.
single year we end up in the hospital with a couple $1,000 hospital bill, it's just like you could never get out of this perpetual loop of debt that you're going to owe to the hospital and to the doctor's offices and all this stuff because of our decision to drink to excess. Which we're kind of stuck in this now. There's really no way out until they come up with some more, more advanced medicine to help people like us. Now, I have seen some stuff here recently. There's in Australia, they think they have the cure for diabetes, which might actually help pancreatitis as well. They've been injecting cancer drugs directly into the pancreas, which has helped to create new pancreatic cells. And there's also some research into cirrhosis too. They might be able to reverse the fibrosis on the liver. They think they might have
Wow.
they might have a breakthrough on that here coming up very soon. Um, so there's some new medicine that's coming out here shortly, and hopefully you and I will make it long enough to where if we need it.
Well, what I believe is that God created Earth, and at this point, it's just a lot of things that we need to just pick from the Earth, right? In order to get better, because I don't need a medication if I can just go out here and plant my own whatever. Because that's what God put on Earth for us to heal ourselves. We don't need medicine, in my opinion.
are
That's the
you
reason why I don't have I'm not gonna die from cirrhosis now. I mean, I've gotten three opinions, and it's good. And that's nothing but God. Trust me.
well, can you elaborate a little bit on what you have been using that is a natural remedy or anything like that?
Not that you honestly prayer, but I use ginger and turmeric. And I put it in my smoothies in the morning. I make sure I have a lot of protein. Protein is very serious.
Very, very important.
Yeah. And so, just my vitamins, and then what the doctor prescribed. Um, that's pretty much it. But just take your medicines, day by day, and the way it's prescribed. And then I honestly feel, and you pray too, because that's most important, because I wouldn't even be here. I should not be here. I was that
Yeah,
sick. So
I can completely understand where you're coming from on that. So let me ask you a question since you brought up the fact of protein. Did you deal with ascites?
never.
Okay, well that's really good.
Which is, I learned that from you, by the way, because I was in the hospital when it came to that, and then they wheeled me down to do the ascites like drain, and they couldn't find any water in my system. And so I was happy about that. I'm like,
Oh
oh,
heck yeah!
yeah.
You do not want
Yep.
ascites. I'm telling you, and I've said this multiple times. That is the worst part about all of this. Out of any other symptom I've dealt with, anything, the ascites is by far the worst. Because you've got all this fluid on your stomach and you can't get rid of it, and they don't really like to do the paracentesis. They don't like doing it. Uh, and you've got all this fluid is pushing on your lungs. You can't breathe. You can't eat. You feel like you feel like you just went to a buffet and ate like 20 plates of food is how you feel like
Right.
all the time. It's just the most uncomfortable feeling in the world, and you can't get comfortable. I don't care what position you lay in. It's just so horrible. I'm so happy to hear that you did not have to go through that.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, like, how in the world did you get that? I didn't get it, thankfully. It's still to this day, like, it'll hurt a little bit, but I never got that. And I'm always scared that I'm gonna get it, because if you always say, like, it's the worst part and it
Yeah.
hurts. And I'll be telling my mom, like, LB said it's
If
the
you
worst part and it hurts.
if you maintain your protein intake like you've been doing, like you said, you'll probably be okay. I was having a really hard time even eating anything. Even drinking protein drinks was tough for me to get down because I just felt so bloated all the time. But I went and spoke with the
I
diet.
lost 100 something pounds.
Yeah,
And that had nothing to do with the ascites. It's just the way it went down. I just wasn't hungry. I was just losing my appetite. And now
yeah,
I'm down to like 130 something. I was too big.
yeah.
But then now I'm here because I couldn't eat at that point. And even to this day, it's still hard. You gotta force yourself.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, and some advice that I've got for you, and for anybody else that's out there, is do your best diligence to get as much nutrients in as you can. The protein shakes alone are just not enough. I try my best to eat as much as I can, but I've got a lot of problems with my pancreas, just like you do. So whenever I eat, I end up getting really bad stomach aches, and that's something they're working on right now. But like I said, really try your best to really get a good spread of nutrients, take vitamins, all that stuff, because you don't want to end up with the problems I'm having right now. Like I'm having dental issues now because of my lack of nutrition. It's playing a number on my gut biome, which has changed the mouth biome, and I'm having all sorts of dental issues. Something I've never dealt with like this ever up until now. And my dentist told me it's because of my health.
No, listen, I was brushing I thought what you were saying, how you always took care of your teeth, and so I'm brushing my teeth the other day and there's bleeding in my gums. I'm like, what the world is this?
Yep,
And so for some reason I thought about you and you were like, I've always taken my dental work seriously. And I
yeah.
was like, man, maybe I'm not, but there's blood right here on both sides. I'm like, yeah,
That
that
actually
is so not cool.
that comes from liver disease, and from the malnutrition. Definitely try your best to get down, as many nutrients. Maybe try taking multivitamin or something like that. But that comes from the malnutrition, the bleeding of the gums.
Yeah.
I've had that same issue in the past as well. Um, so since you have gone to the doctor and they told you that you have cirrhosis and all that stuff, what is what is something that you would? I just want to give you the floor to talk to anybody out there, who might be suffering with this. Any advice that you might have, or anything that you want to say for anybody out there, as far as whatever you want to say.
Um, for the people out there, I just really want them to take it seriously as far as drinking is concerned. You can drink, but don't do it into excessiveness because
Yeah,
it can lead to, I don't care who you are, it can lead to a really horrible life.
yeah,
I remember laying on my bed thinking, how bad a death would be with cirrhosis. I mean, because you have so much going on, and I remember looking at my mom and how much pain I had caused her, and my family in general, and so they were just crying, and it's all because of my selfish. Well, I consider it selfishness because I was just drinking.
yeah,
um, but if I can stop a person, don't do it excessively. Don't, because you don't want to end up here. I remember, like, they gave me medicine to poop on myself. Like, it gets really deep, and so don't go there.
yeah,
Just don't. And I know it's so easy to say, but as a person that's been through it, I'm telling you, just just don't. Like, just accept, don't be excessive with it. I mean, if you want to have a couple of glasses of wine, that's fine, but don't get to the point of excessiveness because you'll end up here.
yeah. Do they have you on lactulose?
Yeah, that's the reason why. Yeah,
Yep,
when I was in the hospital, yep,
yep. You pooped yourself. Yep.
yep, yep, yep. It
Yeah,
was just like so bad.
I know. I've been there. I woke up from an ERCP one time, and well, actually, they're just doing an endoscopy, and I had been on lactulose the whole time I was in there, and I woke up from the endoscopy, and I felt something wet, and uh, I reached down there and pulled my hand
It
out, and
was poop.
I had to tell the nurse. I said, I cannot take care of this. I really need you to clean me up, and I had to lay there like a baby and be cleaned up by. I'm a grown adult being cleaned up by a nurse, because I led myself down this path, and it's just really unfortunate. Uh, that
Yeah,
lactulose, first
people
of
need to
all,
hear that.
it is disgusting to begin with. It's literally like drinking corn syrup.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of it, it makes your bowels uncontrollable. You cannot control yourself. There is no, I need to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go sit on the toilet. No. When it happens, it
I've been
happens.
scared to go to church. 'Cause I'm like, okay, we have to go, because my church is like fundamental Baptist, and so no one claps, no one walks out. Like, I'm like, what if I have to walk out
Yeah.
because of the lactose?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm telling you, it is not pretty. It's not
No, it's
pretty.
not. And that's the kind of stuff that people don't realize that comes along with this, that there's so many aspects to it. It's not just I have liver disease. No. Now you have to take a medication that makes you have uncontrollable bowels. Now
Mm-hmm.
you have lethargy so bad that you can barely even walk up a flight of steps. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you're so tired that even just getting out of the bed in the morning is just a challenge in itself. There's
Mm-hmm.
just so many things that come along with liver disease.
I
What?
was thinking about you the other day. I just made some sorry to interrupt you. I just
Oh
made
no.
some French onion soup. You know it takes a while for the onions to caramelize
Yep.
because I didn't put sugar in it, right?
Yeah.
And so it took me forever, and I just got so tired just making. I think it's like a 3 hour thing for me.
Yeah.
Uh, I just was like, oh man, I can't even finish this off
Yeah.
because of the situation.
Exactly. And that's one of the things too is that like when I do the cooking videos, it takes every single bit of energy out of me to do those. And when I do those videos, I'm done for the day. Like I can't do anything else. I have to lay in the bed for the rest of the day. I mean, it takes it completely out of me. And I know I look like I'm zooming around and all that stuff, and that's because I've drank like 10 cups of coffee, but that doesn't last very long. And then once that's gone, I'm whipped. And it really, for the next couple of days, it affects me. I'm just so tired. And that's another thing people don't realize. I mean, it zaps all your energy away, and then you can't enjoy anything else in your life because you're kind of just stuck laying around in bed all day long.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm always in the bed just because I have such a fatigue problem.
yeah,
So even and I love to cook, but even then, it's just like after 2 hours, I'm like I can't cook anymore, you know. So
I know.
I just want to give a shout out to you though, LD, because we were looking for videos like this and we didn't receive them. And the fact that you're out here helping people, even, I know you're going through some things, and it's just such a blessing to have a person like you here and giving us information because we don't get it from the doctors. And it's just, man, I've been looking for a page like this, and so God bless you, man. Thank
Well,
you so much for this platform.
I really appreciate that. I really do. And, when I started this channel, I really wanted to start a channel for people like you. And myself, people that are really suffering, that are very ill, and didn't have anywhere to go to. I've talked about this in the past, but I was watching. Have you ever seen Jennifer Schaefer before?
No.
Okay, well, she's another. I don't think she YouTubes anymore, really, but she has liver disease, and she actually lives in South Carolina as well. She lives in Spartanburg, South Carolina, I think, which is up in the upstate. But
Yeah.
she has cirrhosis and was making videos. She was actually on hospice at one point in time, and had changed her mind and said, "I'm not doing this." Got up out of the bed, got off the hospice, and started moving around. And that really inspired me. And that's when I actually got up and said, I'm not going out like this. I'm just not. I got up, started moving around, started talking about where I just started making the coffee every day and then doing the dishes and trying to get my kids' food done and all that stuff. And I said, I really want to do something for those out there and make the videos that I wanted to see when I was going through it, just to be able to get that kind of information and to give some kind of hope, because it's not a death sentence. You do not have to. Now, some people, yeah, they're just so far gone and there's really no turning back. But I really wanted to bring hope for those that, you know, can at least try to come out of it. Um, because the
Trust
amount,
me, the way that I found you was like liver disease. Who has it? I was super scared,
yeah,
super scared. I couldn't find anything, and then I found your video. I'm like, oh, and it's become a community
yeah, it
of
has.
people, and it's just it's amazing. And I love everybody in there, and the fight that we have in us.
Yeah,
You got to keep fighting. I
yeah,
would just say that keep fighting.
you have to.
Get up out of bed. Keep, if you can, just walk even just 10 steps. If you can't even walk that much, just do something
Yeah,
because we're all here. We've all been through some nonsense or, our life decisions has brought us here, but I'm glad we're all together now. We can all talk about it, and you've made this platform available, and I just want to thank you for it, for sure.
I really appreciate that, Veronica. I really do. Is there anything that you'd like to add to the end? We got just a couple more minutes.
No, I've said everything that I need to say, but I just hope everybody gets well, and keep fighting for your life,
Yeah,
uh, and keep fighting to just live a normal life
yeah.
because it is possible. Again, I had they can't even detect it in me anymore.
That's so awesome
Um,
to hear.
yeah, yeah, and so just keep fighting.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Well, Veronica, I really appreciate you coming on here today. If anything, this is definitely going to help those who are, especially the ones that are on the fence and are like, I don't know if I should stop or not. Do not want to end up like you or I. It's scary, and you just don't want to be there. I can promise it. I know that you can promise that. There's nothing worse than laying in that hospital bed not knowing if you're going to be here tomorrow, and that's just not the place you want to be. And
It's scary.
especially with liver disease or pancreatitis or anything that's associated with alcohol, because you're going to get treated differently, and you don't want to end up in there with that. You just don't. So, once again, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And I know that everybody out there is going to really appreciate this video as well. So, thank you so much for taking the time and giving us a face with the, like I said, the little picture that we have on there. Now we know what you really look like. It's hard to
Yeah.
see. It's hard to tell. That picture's so small. And
Oh, now you see.
yeah, now we got
Thanks,
you.
LD. I really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
Sure.